There are going to be new changes to the driving license process after Cabinet reached a decision with the Niue Police on the new development for 5-year driving licenses. According to Chief of Police Mark Chenery, the process in which the driving licenses will be enforced will start on the 31st of March this year and will continue with the final changes in 2015.
There is going to be new changes, Mona. It came about basically last year when our driver's licence printing card machine broke down. Now, that was something that had been purchased for the Economic Forum back in 2005, and it's quite a dear asset in the thousands. And basically, when we made the bid for the new one and got the new one, again, it was sort of several $1,000s that we had to pay out of our budget. So it was important to try and look after that. So that was why I looked at, rather than doing the yearly renewal of the licences with the cards, to go to the 5-yearly renewal. So I started preparing documents for Cabinet to consider with regards to that. Also, the other thing too is, I suppose, around the Pacific, and I talked to the chiefs, the other chiefs at the conference in Brisbane last year. Most of the other islands have gone away from that yearly renewal purely because it's costly. It's costly probably for the public, and it's certainly costly in terms of using our printer and renewing the cards every year. So what's been approved is basically from the 31st of March of this year, we will start introducing a 5-yearly licence system. What it's going to be is a gradual introduction. So we're going to go through the alphabet from A to Z. And basically how it's going to work is, for this year, it will be very little change. People whose surname begins from A to E, so like Chenery for me, will be required on the 31st of March to get a 5-year licence. Everyone else will just renew it for a year, as per normal. The following year, 31st of March 2012, it will be people whose surnames begin from F to J. And so on and so on. We'll certainly make people aware of when it's their turn to renew their licence, and basically we'll go right through until the 31st of March 2015, when the final group of people from U to Z, whose surnames begin with U to Z, will renew it for 5 years. Costing-wise, I suppose the good news is, because it's a progressive introduction and it's over 5 years, we're not going to increase the cost of a licence for a 5-year period. It has increased slightly from $11.30, I think it cost a licence last year. We've just upped it 70 cents to $12. So for most people this year, the annual licence will be $12. For those that are wanting, or those whose surnames begin from A to E, the cost will be $60 for a 5-year licence. So they will have their licence from the 31st of March 2011 through until the 31st of March 2016. The other good thing about that too is that each time, every 5 years that you increase the licence, a new photograph's taken. So you don't have, which sometimes occurs, where you've got maybe on some of the licences I've seen, where you've got probably a 45-year-old female who's got a licence photo that's probably about 20 years old. And I just think it keeps it updating. So that's the basic sort of rundown of it. Certainly we've got notices up in the police station. Donna, our receptionist, is very aware of what the situations are going to be. So if anyone's got any questions, again, please go and see Donna, or please come and see me.
Chief of Police Mark Chenery also said that the gradual change will only affect driving licences. If you need more information, you can contact the Niue Police. The final day of the Niue Legislative Assembly meeting to discuss the Immigration Bill concluded with the passing of the Immigration Bill 2011. Many issues developed from the meeting to determine the provisions and amendments of the current bill before approval by the members of the Assembly. According to Immigration Minister, Honourable Premier Tokita Langi, he was pleased with the outcome of yesterday's meeting.
I think a lot of people have misunderstood many of the provisions that are made in there, and also do not understand what is really lacking in the current bill or current act that we're using. The first part about the bill is the definition of what a Niuean population is, what a Niuean person is. And previously it just used to be Niuean citizenship. Now we have defined those Niueans who are born in New Zealand, for parents who have gone away for training and for medical reasons. One particular bit that we haven't finalised but we have made provisions in the Act to ensure that in fact Cabinet can make an attempt at defining it, are those people who have gone away to work, their kids have been born overseas, and are now back here. So that's the only thing that I think that's lacking at this particular point in time. But as I said, provisions are in there to enable Cabinet to make a definition with respect to that. The second thing is with respect to the sponsorships and temporary permits and things. I think at the present moment we do need sponsors to be mature and understand perfectly what they're doing when they are sponsoring something. It should not be a matter that should be taken lightly. It should not be a matter where I can just come to you and say, Mona, can you sponsor me, please? And you say, yep. What are my responsibilities? And in fact, most people don't even bother to ask what their responsibilities are. The Act, yesterday and now in law, defines what those things are and also ensures that you are clear about your responsibilities. There are provisions with respect to the fact that you can't leave the country while that person is still here. The reasons for that is that when you leave, then what are the responsibilities that you have with respect to the person that you have brought into the country? If it's nothing, then why are you leaving that person here for us to take care of? Because you've abdicated your responsibilities, as far as I'm concerned, to that person you brought in. We are still bringing people in, and people will still continue to come in under this Act. There will always be people who would want to come and work in Niue, because Niue does offer jobs for them, and they provides for better living conditions, better living standards, better lifestyles for them compared to where they've come from. The third part with respect to the PRs, I personally thought it was a bit harsh to say 10 years before you are entitled to get PR. At the present moment it's 3 years. My belief is that, and as you heard, some people thought that they should never ever be given PR. And let me also say this. In Abu Dhabi, for example, they never ever get PR. Not at all. You can go and work in Abu Dhabi for 6 years and you are then required to go home. You're never given any citizenship of any kind in those countries. There are countries who do that. In our case, we're saying 10 years. Current practice, 3 years. You take your pick. I think people should reflect on that and determine, if a person wants to come and live in you as a permanent resident, how long do you allow that person to be part of the community before you or she or he feels that they are part of this community? There are people now who say, 3 years is nothing, it's too short. My belief is that maybe 5 years, but that's what Parliament voted for when it voted for that provision, 10 years.
Even though the bill was passed by Assembly, there was still strong opposition for the bill to return for discussion with the public. The Common Role Member of Parliament, Honourable Terry Coe, said in his interview today that more discussions and review of the bill would bring clarification for people, but he is also worried about the impact of the bill on some families.
I'm very concerned, and especially for one is the sponsorship, that only Nueans are allowed to sponsor people. And I think there's a lot of people here on the island who have been here for a great number of years. They should be allowed to sponsor people as well. The trouble with the sponsorship now is that it puts all the responsibility on the sponsor, and that's going to have to last for 10 years, because that's when the person could get their PR. It's not necessary they're going to get it in 10 years either. But so you've got to look after that person, with making sure it's got accommodation and jobs and all that. Otherwise, if there's any debts that person incurs in, then the Nuean is responsible as the sponsor. And that goes on for 10 years. If that debt is not paid, then the Nuean is not allowed to leave Niue, which is very tough on Nueans as being the only ones that can sponsor.
Now, going back to the sponsorship and having a look at the responsibilities that is carried by the sponsor, why agree to the 10 years in the first place? I mean, it is hard enough been 5 years when, you have to carry that load with you?
Well, I believe that the government should sponsor the people anyhow. You and me should be able to nominate the person or families we would like them to come in. And then the government does the checking, which they do now, and they're responsible for the health, the police checks, and the financial checks as well. So really, they should do the sponsoring. And if they are not happy with those people for some reason, whether it's a health reason or financial reason, well, they shouldn't let them in. I think people will now think twice about coming here. It must be remembered that the people that do come in on sponsorships. Some of them have left. We know that, but they have contributed to the country in the form of taxes. They go to church and help the church. They go to the sports things. They go to culture. They pay taxes on their working. So they have contributed to Niue's benefit, economic benefit, and they also bring skills, which we're lacking in skilled people at the moment, mechanics and that. So I see that if people now have to wait the 10 years for PR and then another 5 years before they get New Zealand citizenship, because that's what the High Com has said. The new figure is 5 years. You've got to have PR, get your PR, then you've got to wait another 5 years before you can apply for New Zealand citizenship. So I don't think people are going to be interested in coming, and with our falling population, we need people here, and we need skilled people and people who are going to help us. It should go back to the people, and also there should be someone going around informing the public of the benefits of having people here that help this country to build up. Because if the Niuean population continues to leave, who is going to do the work? We haven't got the people, and if the people don't come, then we're going to be have serious problems, especially looking after 6,000 tourists, which are supposed to be coming.
We will bring you the new provisions and amendments of the immigration bill next week. This morning, government's new launch, Tawhahe Moana, was blessed, witnessed by many at the wharf. Firstly, with the acknowledgements and gratitude of the Public Works Department and Niue government to the New Zealand government for the funds provided for the purchase of the much-needed vessel. The impressive vessel was funded by New Zealand Aid to the tune of $760,000 and was today blessed and set out to sea. Honourable Premier Tokitaha Langi was given the first blessing by Minister Olaf Jacobson to break the champagne and wished the boat a successful life in the waters of Niue. Tawhahe Moana was put to the test in Niue's not-so-calm conditions after the blessing, and it challenged the elements at its best, returning with relieved onlookers. The maiden voyage didn't drift far from shore, as a few happy public servants and officials went out to the harbour. The discussions on whether Niue should establish an ombudsman office concluded today with a retreat at Matavai Resort. According to the Commonwealth Secretariat official, Mosese Tala, the Ombudsman Office is set up for a specific purpose.
The principle of which that office was created in the first place. The office of the Ombudsman is largely an office that is supposed to be an avenue where the public, if they think that government decision or action or inactions that are affecting them badly or putting them in a disadvantaged position, they can go to such an office of which they can complain. And of course this office will investigate that complaint and make recommendations to the government so that they can take appropriate actions to remedy the negative impact that is impacting the complainants. So that is fundamentally the principle of such an office. Now, in the scenario of Niue, it's a very small country. That office called Ombudsman need to be thought of very well by the leaders and the people of Niue. On one hand, that principle of which an avenue like that can be in existence for people to come and feel confident that they can put a complaint about government action that disadvantages them. On the other hand, you have to think, okay, if that is to be the case, how are we going to set up this office? Because it's an expensive exercise, and an office can be expensive in terms of running it. So you have to think as to how best you can implement the principles of which an ombudsman function. At the same time, you have to think of the cost that is involved.
Mr. Saitala also said that he is happy with the outcomes of the discussions.
Cabinet will definitely look in a formal cabinet meeting on the recommendations that have been put forward to them. The retreat today was largely to reflect on those outcomes and for us to be able to respond to any queries the cabinet may have and clarify positions of those recommendations. So that was the main purpose of the retreat. It was not a cabinet meeting. It was more like a get-together to reflect on those outcomes and have an opportunity for them to ask questions. Yeah. We are so happy that when you spend resources like this, it has to be tangible, because resources we spend on Niue and coming to Niue and hosting these workshops and even today, there are a lot of resources that are being spent, and you think about those resources, whether it was better spent and for this or to actually go and construct a small hut for a family that is in need of a hut. You have to decide. So today I was very happy because the outcome was very positive. Two key outcomes was that there was an overwhelming view of the people for the establishments of a thing like an ombudsman office. And at the same time, there was also an overwhelming support of the people to develop some kind of ethical standards of which Niuean leaders would be conducting themselves to those standards of which the people of Niue would like them to be.
This afternoon also, after the retreat, both Pacific Island Forum Secretariat and Commonwealth Secretariat donated $4,000 to assist the Ombudsman Office. Members of the business community have been in first aid training this week, building their capacity to respond in emergency situations. The sessions, organized by the Chamber of Commerce and facilitated by a local Red Cross certified first aid trainer, the workshops were prompted on a suggestion from the businesses themselves.
We wanted more of those in the private sector to respond back, but I guess a lot of them probably have their business to run and other errands to run, so they probably couldn't make the time that we had put forward to them. So it's just about less than 20 people from the private sector who responded back, who wanted to participate within the workshop, but within last minute we had a few withdraw due to work commitments.
As one of the participants in this workshop, how useful has the information that you've gained from here been?
Oh, really quite useful. Most of the information that like I myself got to know about, I wasn't aware like ever. So it was quite interesting, and hopefully we would like to probably have another one probably in the next year or so, next couple of months, if a lot of people like request for it. So it is good, and it's probably be very helpful to us, not only in the private sector but to the community.
It is hoped that this opportunity will be available in future, and organizers are encouraging businesses to be in touch with the Chamber of Commerce as they are able to help within the private sector with anything related to the development of private sector. And to conclude our news, the town was buzzing with news that a new clothing boutique is about to open. Sassy Sissy opened their doors yesterday for a free pre-opening sale of mostly women's clothing and accessories. As the name entails, the store is owned by sisters Fiafia and Pauline Rex, combining their cheeky sense of style and the apparent lack of clothing stores on the island prompted the sisters to open up shop. Fiafia says that this is only a taste of what's to come, with big brands like Billabong at bargain prices. Catering for mostly women, teens and middle-aged women, the store is looking to bring in bigger sizes as it expands its clientele base. But the response from customers so far has been good. The store only opened for 2 days this week, and it seems that the more popular items that sold out were clutch bags and sunglasses. Sassy Sissy will officially open for business at the end of March, heading into early April, as Fiafia prepares to return to bring in more stock. Now, those are our news stories for tonight as well as this week. We do hope that you'll be able to join us again for our next news bulletin next week. Pena eto wala tal tutu pu hatu ke la tai me fe ne amna kini to liu ke fe pene ke to wala tal tutu pu ke fa hita pa ho. Ke no fwa ne po ato mai ke liu ke fe le vea.